tonight's episode, we find out how we all got on over the last week to try to meet our idols, and we also have music videos from Jackals Backbone and Kodama.
Hi, good evening, Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
We're here. It's episode number 5 of How to Meet Your Idols. I can't believe we're already a third of the way through this. It seems like only the other day we started this, but it's what's more worrying is we know we've only got 2/3 of it to go, and I'm sort of feeling like a bit of pressure coming on now. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely feeling pressure. But I guess we should go and find out from Andy. I guess, how have you got on in the last week since we last caught up?
I haven't done a huge amount on this. I did chase Macron Death's management company in Germany. I haven't had acknowledgement for my first email, I haven't had acknowledgement for my second. Might need to take a different tact on that one. But yesterday, I received an email from Liv Christine's management company, which I have yet to open. They were very positive about the idea, and I was saying, thank you very much, that's great, looking forward to confirming the details. They've sent a reply, which I will read now.
Exciting.
If there's any sort of additional progress to report.
Drum roll.
Sorry, not quite as excited as I thought. It's just an acknowledgement of my acknowledgement, basically saying thank you for your response for doing this. But I think this is one that we're going to tick off. I think, you know,
right.
me and Kirk have discussed it, and we'll make it happen on the day that they suggested, which was early December.
Okay, that sounds good.
Even if I take an afternoon off work or finish early or whatever, we'll make that one happen. So yeah. I've got a couple of progresses going quite well. I do need to speak to Aaron Stainthorpe, and I think the route for that is, again, following Kirk's suggestion, Facebook Messenger, social media content.
Yeah.
That's what I'll try with that.
Well
I
done.
don't think I'm getting anywhere with Steve Harris. You know, it's quite a firm no.
Yeah.
he didn't speak to any media of any sort. The promotion of the last album, so currently on tour in America, so I can't see that one progressing.
Well, hopefully, you never know. You might get lucky if you keep trying at something. I mean, this is where the hard part is in the second 2/3 is trying to come up with the options for the people that are just not getting back to us. guess we should go and find out what I got up to last week.
Okay, so my plan for this week on how to meet your idols. I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video today because normally I do it in my little studio room, but I thought just to make a change, I'll talk about what I'm planning to do this week while I'm here by a lovely big fire, which looks kind of awesome. Right, well, my thought today is I'm going to continue down the route of Instagrams for all people involved, but I think this time, rather than trying to pursue this chasing about the interviews and stuff like that, I'm going to try and open a dialogue, like just asking questions to see if I can start to get responses. If I can then start to get responses about other questions, then I can try and ask about the interview later on. So we know, like, Rob Flynn burnt his backside in a sauna. So I've messaged him already asking him how his backside is healing and hope he's on painkillers and hope it's not too bad and have a great rest of the tour, etc. Hope to catch him some point soon. So I'm hoping that going down that sort of route might get a response, and then hopefully that'll open the door. In relation to the warning, I've joined their Patreon. It was something I was planning to do a little bit before this, but the reason I never did it was a lot of the lower Patreon tiers were already filled, so it was only the really expensive premium ones to do it, and unfortunately I just don't have the money to be doing that, as I already support several bands and artists as Patreons. But luckily, one of their lower tier Patreons had one space available, so I joined that. And I've messaged them directly on Patreon, and I'm still continuing down that route, and will respond to obviously chase them on emails, etc. So that's my plan for the coming week. And hopefully, well, I've got to chase up Pitchshifter as well, yes. So the dialogue I had with them is obviously they were asking about questions. So I'm going to send them some preliminary questions and see what comes back on that. And that's it for me for this week.
Okay, so yeah, that was my plan for the last week, which was to go down the social media routes, go back down to the email routes. I joined the Patreon for the warning. I messaged them directly through their Patreon site. Didn't get any responses back there. I have considered about maybe setting up a different email account, which is like a professional email account rather than just my David Brett email account, to see if I did like an A.D.K or David Brett at A.D.K.com or whatever it might be, and set something up like that. Would that maybe get a bit more response from them rather than a personal, like my just bog standard Yahoo account? I'm wondering if that could be one of the issues. So that might be a challenge for the next bit. I have recently found out, because 3 days ago Sully Erner did a Facebook video announcement to explain why he hasn't been on social media for the last 18 months. So that could explain why I've had no responses back from him on Instagram whatsoever. The other thing I decided I was going to try and do now was, I've obviously sent 3 or 4 emails or Instagram messages to everyone, kind of going, have you received my email? This is the plan, and kind of explaining it multiple times. I thought, well, maybe if I can try and just get into some form of dialogue. That was one of the other reasons I kind of sent out the message this week, which was like, Rob Flynn was in a sauna in the last week and burnt his backside on it. He put a thing on Facebook about him having like put in a second skin thing on it to try and help heal it. So I sent him a message going, hi Rob, hope you're really well. That burn on your backside looked really painful. I hope it's not too bad for you. I hope you're having a great time out on tour. Can't wait to see you when you next get an opportunity to come and see you, but all the best. And I thought, well, maybe I'll start down that route.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if I can just get like them to say thanks or cheers for that sort of, then that's that foot in the door of an initial message, and then that will maybe potentially give me an opportunity to then start the dialogue and then try to build up towards the interview stage. And I think that's my kind of next steps with it. I have sent over the questions over to JS Clayton because they were interested in me sending the questions in advance. I've emailed them, they have said thanks. Haven't had anything further on that, so I still need to chase them. And the hard thing is I'm still obviously with the warning and with Rob Flynn. They're out on tour. It's a difficult one when they're touring. Their time is very difficult to sort of pull them away from it. So I'm kind of... I think the thing I'm finding now is sending another email. It becomes this kind of thing like once in a week you kind of open everything up and go, right, type all these emails again, send. And I'm now kind of getting to the point I'm thinking, like, this feels like this is not getting me anywhere. What am I going to do differently? I'm thinking for my second third of this challenge, I guess, I've got to try and do something a bit different. One thing I would say for all of us is if we get to after week 8, when we get into the 9, 10, 11, 12 of this, if we're still at this sort of stage where we're at 20% success rate, I think we can then start to go down the route of what support can we give each other, just to see if we can. That's when I think we can start to double up and kind of give each other a bit more of a hand. But I think for the next 4, we've still got to try and see what other ideas we can come up with. But I really want to try this next week is to close down JS Caden and get a confirmation date from him, so I can at least put one there ticked off, and then really try and maybe close down one of the others. The Alec Bartar one's kind of just no chance at the moment.
That's
but
like my Robert Smith one, isn't it? I'm just leaving that until the end. You know, the ones that we knew from the beginning that were going to be the most difficult. It's almost got to the point where I don't even think about that, and I've just put it in a box for early December, late November, early December.
Exactly.
That's
where I am anyway. But Okay, Kirk. So what has Kirk been up to for the last week?
Hello, I think the first moment of desperation has arrived. And I came to that conclusion this evening when I was preparing an email for Adam Sandia, the publicist at the Noise Cartel who arranged the interview with Tom G. Warrior of Celtic Frost, because he also represents the media affairs of Periphery, and of course, by extension, Spencer Sotelo in the United Kingdom. So I'm going to have to go to Adam again and possibly exhaust his goodwill. And I do feel like I'm taking a bit of a liberty here, considering that he's already come through for me once and delivered for me once. And I'm asking, oh, by the way, can I have another favour? Can you also help me arrange an interview with Spencer Sotelo? Let me show you what I mean by this. So I've got an email ready for Adam, and I'm not grovelling, but I have certainly said I understand that you're busy and that you have other things to do, etc. So I've said, thanks once again for arranging the interview with Tom G. Warrior. We plan to do this in November when Tom finishes his current world tour with Triumph of Death. I've also included a rough pilot of episode 4, the moment where I announced that the euphoric moment where I announced the news that Tom has agreed to an interview and has emailed me personally at my Gmail account. So I've said, this is how I've worded it. I have another favour to ask, if that's not too much of a liberty, considering everything you've done for me so far. I also have Periphery's Spencer Sotelo on my list of 5 idols, and I've tried the following avenues to contact him, all to no avail: Bandcamp, 3 Dot Recordings, contact page, Facebook page for his Endure side project. And the way I've presented it is, as Periphery's UK publicist, can you ask him if he'd be interested in appearing in our documentary for a short Zoom Teams interview, showing the selfie attached for Periphery's 2019 London show, if this helps to get his attention. And again, I really have had to end it, being as respectful as possible. I realise I'm asking a lot of you and that you are a busy person, but I'm running out of options here. Please help. I hope that doesn't sound too desperate. So let's send that off. It really is the last avenue, isn't it? I've tried all other areas where you can get in contact with Spencer, or at least email somewhere where he's going to read that, or in my case probably discard it and put it in the junk folder, which I wouldn't hold against him. So I'm going to send this to Adam. I'm running out of options. If he says, oh, Periphery are not doing interviews at the moment, Spencer's not available, I already know that Spencer withdrew from social media in 2016 after Periphery 3, so this is a person who does not really give many interviews. I guess that's part of the challenge though, isn't it? Certainly with this documentary. So I'm going to send this to Adam. Let's check I've got my signature. Yep, we've got the YouTube link in for the rough pilot for episode 4. And it's going. Right, so let's move on to Greg Puciato. I keep pronouncing his name Puciato, don't I? I've not even checked if that's correct. I assume it is. Italian? One hopes. Okay, so I've, again, had nothing back here. So Federal Prisoner, which is the record label and art collective that he runs with his partner Jesse Draxler, I went on the YouTube page and I was able to find a business address, info@federalprisoner.com. I had to prove that I'm not a robot to get that information. I've had a look on the Federal Prisoner website, and the good news is Miracell, the album that he released earlier this year, is going to be available on CD very soon, so that's open for pre-order, so I'm probably going to put in a pre-order as well. That has also given me the idea, if I'm going to contact Greg, why not include links to the 2 reviews I've done of his albums, Child Soldier, Creator of God, from November 2020 when I reviewed that, and the July review I did of Miracell. I could also include the Killer Be Killed album that I reviewed in December 2020, or the SBR Top 7 Male Vocalists of 2020. Greg was in that as well. That probably would be a bit too much in terms of sycophancy. So the email here, I've just gone through. It's similar to everything else that I've sent to him on Bandcamp, on Facebook, the official fan page, and I've explained who I am, what I'm doing. He's one of my 5 idols. Crucially now I can say Tom G. Warrior has already accepted our request to appear in the documentary. What is your availability for a Zoom on Microsoft Teams interview for the rest of 2023. I'm not going to mention that Emma Van Dyke, his UK publicist, has already said that he's not doing interviews. I'm not going to give up, am I, just because the PR representative says that he's not available. And I've just put, P.S. the staff at Screen Blast Repeat, love your last 2 albums, you can read both reviews here. Hopefully that might intrigue him. And the fact that we've got a link to one of the pilots now gives us a bit more content, doesn't it? So let's send this off, info@federalprisoner.com. And that's what I seem to be doing all the time, isn't it? Just emailing. If this was a sales job, I would have been sacked within 1 week, and they would have just said to me, pick up the fucking phone, get out there prospecting, cold call. Well, you can't do that in this line, in this sector. They don't put the phone numbers on there. This is for people who are savvy in social media and that are willing to communicate through the official channels, where email is the default mode of communication. So I will keep you updated. I do fear that the next few weeks are just going to be me finding new email addresses and new ways to try to contact my musical idols to arrange an interview. I will keep you posted. Yeah, so very much like you, Dave and Andy, I feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall at times. It's just finding a new email address or a new platform, isn't it? So as you saw there, Spencer Sotelo, I knew all along who the PR representative was, but because he arranged the Tom G. Warrior interview, I didn't want to exhaust his goodwill. But in the end, I've had to go to him and say, well, I'm getting nothing on Bandcamp, nothing on 3 Dot Recordings. Same with Greg Puciato. At least I went on YouTube and found a business email address for that record company, which they don't really display anywhere else. And I had to click I'm not a robot. So I've found more avenues there to try and get in contact. You can see my strategy is try and get Spencer and Greg, then concentrate on Mike Patton and Robert Smith. And what I've started doing is saying, when I'm prospecting, saying Tom G. Warrior's already agreed. So imagine if when I get the second person, I can say these people have already agreed. And Andy, you could do that as well. You've got Dave Tatum. You've now got, obviously, Liv Christine. When you're approaching Aaron Stainthorpe, tell him that they're already appearing in this documentary series.
No, that's a good idea. That's... Do you know what? You just reminded me of something else I did on my week, and I've completely forgot about it. But I did exactly that, which was... this is a little bit of a flashback for me then. Costa PR, I think they're called, or Costa N PR. And they are the UK publicist and PR company for Godsmack and Machine Head.
Oh, well done.
And the only reason I found this one out was it was a bit of a tricky one. It was because when you type in like Machine Head PR, you get all these companies that will basically list it, but they block out all the information and say if you want to pay for it, you can buy all the contact information for these bands. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that. So, but they left out certain bits of information, like the first name of the person, of who the so it was her name is Christine or Kristen, I think her name is, and it says Kristen at something gmail.com, and it gave the hometown of where she's based. So what I then did was typed in Kristen PR rep or PR and that address, and that came up on LinkedIn as a Kristen who's a PR, and it gave me her link of what her PR company was. So I then found a PR company that way and then did a contact form via that. But it was a real tricky one. I was like, I don't want to have to pay someone for this contact information. I was like, no, I'm not giving you money for it. I just want to know who that person is. And it was that literally having that first name, knowing they're in PR and knowing what town they're from, and then typing that into a search engine. It actually came up on their LinkedIn profile, which was really useful. So I have sent emails to that. That was one of the other ones I had forgotten. I'd done that quite a lot. I did that a couple of days ago, so I haven't heard anything back. But
I think
that's another way around it.
You said Patreon. So on Screen Blast Repeat, I want to get Daniel Tompkins of Tesseract and Courtney from Spirit Box as some of the first inaugural interviews that we do when we launch the video interviews. And I'm a Patreon of Spirit Box, and that gives me hope, because think about it, you're contacting that artist. Obviously, don't be sanctimonious and say, I'm paying your wages or anything ridiculous like that, because we're not. We're contributing a stream of revenue. We're not like taxpayers demanding services, are we? So
Patreon is a good one, because Patreon only has, so let's say you've only got 500 Patreons on your channel. If you had 500 people email you, okay, you get 500 messages, but on your Instagram, you might get 2,000 comments. You're more likely to read, you'll get an alert on your email saying this person sent you a message. So you're more likely to read your Patreon email than you are to read a comment on a Facebook page. So unfortunately, I've only found one of my people have actually got Patreon, unfortunately, but it is a way in, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
plenty for us to work on.
Yeah, the likes of Iron Maiden certainly won't need Patreon.
No.
Contribute
Fund their
to
next album.
Steve Harris' net worth, what, 35 million?
Yeah, join my Patreon for $2 a month and you can be my Patreon. Support the channel. Okay, so we've got plenty to do for the next week, so hopefully we get something kind in, but at least if we can get your dates in for Tom G, Dave Tatum, and hopefully if I can get John S. Clayton actually bedded in, then at least we'll have a few more positives and something for us to work on the next week.
Yeah, November should be a lot busier with interviews.
Yeah. I'm here today with Paul Isola from Breed 77. Paul, how the hell are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you very much. How are you, Dave?
I'm brilliant, and I'm very, very grateful for you joining me on the channel. I know it's always fun doing Zoom interviews and stuff like that and trying to get our technology to work in this day and age, but so I'm grateful for you taking the time out of your evening to join me on this call today.
My pleasure.
As always, we want to kind of do a little bit of deep dive into what's going on with Breed 77, because as a Breed 77 fan, I was ecstatically pleased at the early part of 2021 when we started getting sort of a little bit of secret notifications dropping up on Facebook pages and stuff, and we're kind of going, whoa, what's going on here? Because we knew that really all we'd heard from, I guess, Breed 77 as far as music or content was really, I guess what we knew of was what Danny was doing with, was it Heretic Order, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
So he was off doing that, and I checked them guys out live, and I hadn't really heard much from anyone else. Everyone else had kind of gone off and done different things. So we sort of started getting some inklings of something coming along, and then we got, was it A Matter of Time? Would have been, was it about a year ago now?
You couldn't be standing here, here. What took so long to fade? Here, here. You see the mess we made, waiting for a clock to bring.
I think, yeah, just gone a year.
Yeah. So that suddenly dropped, and of course the first thing that everyone said, awesome, it's great to hear, when are we getting some new Breed 77 stuff? That was the first thing I saw in all the comments. It's like, great to hear you're back, write a new album, give it to us straight away, please, thank you. So yeah, I guess that's the first kind of thing. What's what's happening? What's the latest with writing?
Well, we'll take it back to the start. Get the chronology in order.
Okay.
If you will. I think like 12 months ago when we got together and we did the Matter of Time acoustic, that was us. That was the first thing we'd done, like the first kind of meeting, the first kind of collaboration we'd done in close to 9 years, and that's what kind of gave birth to the return of the band. But we were excited about putting a song out, and I think maybe we put the song out and then we kind of had the idea, you know,
Right.
like we got to get together, we got to start writing, and the whole getting together is kind of a difficult thing because I live in Gibraltar, which is down at the mouth of the Mediterranean, and the rest of the guys are up in the UK. So it's been a real kind of weird learning process in trying to write and to collaborate via the medium of online, you know, computers and what have you. So that's been a slow process. Excited to say that we kind of got over all those kind of, I think, you know, the early steps in trying to find ourselves and trying to find our dynamic in working together again. And I think now we're flying, you know, cut a long story short, now we've really got into the whole process of how to develop songs and to fire them across and to have the same software to so that the song will kind of snap up on the other side of the planet and sound like what you were working on. So it's been a slow process, but for us the important thing was that we needed to have the music first. We could have very easily planned ahead and put dates and then and maybe have like a couple of new songs and then play loads of old songs. But we've done that before. We've already done like the 10-year anniversary of Kultura. We've done the play the old stuff, And for us to return, we had to be current. We had to be of the moment now, So we didn't want to, depend on our past success. We wanted to be something new and fresh, and for that to happen, we had to have a body of work, a nucleus of songs that we could really believe in and get behind, and then everything else would spring on from there. And we're really at that moment, where we've got, we're getting a really, really cool group of songs together, and it's exciting. Very exciting.
Next question. So, what does the band look like currently then? Because obviously, when it was back in 2013, I'm trying to remember 2013, 2014, give or take. We had a different bass player came in. You left the band at around 2013 and came back in 2014 for the 10-year anniversary. So where do we currently sit? Do we have a confirmed full lineup of the band at this point in time, or is that still something that is being discussed?
This is something that somebody with the wisdom of a seasoned Premiership football manager should be talking about, because our selection process is not complete.
Right.
Right now, we had various permutations. I think towards the end of the live band, Stuart left, and then we had Ben playing with us, and then we've had performances with different drummers in between, in these ensuing 7 or 8 years. So it kind of leaves everything up in the air. Now, the band is who it always was. We don't know. It's a weird one, because you're always, and this is I'm just gonna be honest. There's always these things that you think you could have session players playing for you live and what have you. And I'm not down with that dynamic,
Yeah.
So we've been tussling with the idea of it's much simpler to have a smaller nucleus in a band, and then when you go out to play live, you get kind of hired guns, and that's kind of not really us,
Yeah.
We have a very particular character and way we speak and communicate, and I think that's an important part, being in the band, that everybody is able to understand themselves. And watch the space. We are yet to announce a lineup, but all I can say, I think, which is the most diplomatic and fairest way to say, is that right now it's Pedro, Danny, and I who are writing.
Okay.
So that's the writing nucleus of Breed 77 right now. What it turns out, when we next go live, will be, we'll see what time brings.
So there were a couple of things I did want to kind of cover off. So I'm really intrigued when you guys kind of started out. I have got the history about where the idea of the Breed 77 name came from and how the name kind of came about. If you trust Wikipedia, then you could say that I know what the history is. But I'm intrigued because of your style and your sound. Where what sort of influences have you guys pulled in? So what were you listening to that brought your influences into the sound that is, I guess, Breed 77 sound?
We are very firmly rooted in rock and metal of the 70s.
Okay.
70s and 80s, I'd say. Particularly that's what at the time when we started the band, what would have been considered kind of dodgy, you know, in the UK when we were living, you know, it was like hair, like dad metal and hair metal,
big old hair metal, yeah.
Yeah. So we're big Sabbath fans, enormous Sabbath fans, even huger Led Zeppelin fans, massive Pink Floyd fans, Deep Purple, Rainbow, Dio, Ozzy Osbourne. That's kind of where the foundations lay. Yeah. Then
Right.
on top of those foundations, we've got a very, very healthy slab of early 90s kind of, what we call it, grunge, but you know, Seattle bands on there, your Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, that kind of stuff. And then like we sprinkle everything with like a passion we have for dark, odd flamenco music, and in particular one 70s band that kind of marries our love of flamenco with a love of 70s rock. It's a band called Triana, and they're like the Spanish Pink Floyd. So I think in between all that, and maybe we have to have an honorable mention. I maybe sure as well.
Yes.
But a lot of Iron Maiden, Thin Lizzy stuff that because twin guitars and rocks, you know. But that's kind of like you want to have like a round
right
perspective on all our influences.
I think it's whenever I've mentioned Breed 77 to people, they're like, what band are they? And I'm like, the song The River. You must have heard The River. And they go, how's it go? I go, it's the band that plays the flamenco guitar. Oh, the flamenco metal band. Yeah, I know who they are. Well, it's a good thing to be known for. It gives you kind of a standout thing because it's not anyone else was really doing it. I don't know of anyone that's specifically. There's no one that I would put there and go, Breed 77 sounds like. There just isn't anyone that I can actually think of off the top of my head. Whereas pretty much any other metal band that I can talk about, I can always say they sound a little bit like At the Gates or In Flames. So as soon as you start talking about any like Swedish melodic death metal band, you're straight away going to have the In Flames, Dark Tranquillity, all these other bands. And there's always a scene that they sat in. Whereas with Breed 77, I don't think there was ever a scene that they specifically sat in. They kind of did their own thing, which was very interesting, but pretty hard to break through then, I would have guessed.
I was about, I just been wanting to cut in just to tell you, like, you know, that's like the stone we carry around our neck. Like, I think it's because our sound does not really define us. You know, like the flamenco, you know, you say flamenco metal, flamenco rock.
Yeah.
And that covers like maybe a quarter of our music. I think our thing was always being a song-based band. We're all about the song. So every song can be a completely different world, completely different galaxy, you know. And because we marry that kind of like, oh, you know, we've got like the nylon string guitars or whatever, but we marry it with a very different sensibility from song to song.
Right.
We never quite sat right in any scene.
Right. Okay.
And as you rightly say, you know, like the music press and how it's designed, how it's set up, it's not about that. It's about wow, you know, like you can write about what's it? Tobias Forge said, "Sentence for a Name" bands.
Right.
I love that. You know what I mean? There's
right.
In the press, the journalism is about, you know, it's about genres, subgenres, sub-subgenres, but everything's classified and pigeonholed.
Right.
And for us, the minute we were, you know, like fitting in one pigeonhole, next song comes along, and it's right over there. So I think we're a harder, maybe a tougher pill to swallow within the machine, the press machine.
Is there anything on the Evil Inside? Because Evil Inside is one of my favourite albums of all time. It's definitely still in my top 10. I absolutely love the album. There are some songs on there that there's some songs that on there that when I first listened to the album never really connected with me, but have massively grown on me. And I'm wondering, because obviously that came out in 2012, so you didn't have that longer time for that to really go from being an album launch to being on the road to when the band kind of stopped playing it live. So was there any songs on there that made it on the album but were never really, you were kind of like, they are almost your album fillers but grew on you over that period of time? Is there any songs that kind of, like Bring on the Rain for me would be something that everyone kind of went, oh, that's a great song. I hope everyone in the band went, that's a great song. Whereas there might be other ones on there that people were like, someone liked it, but other members of the band were like, do we have to put that on the album? Okay, fine. Is there anything like that happens?
I think pretty much like for me personally, it's always been that I grow fonder of our music as time goes on. Like I have these sessions like every few years where maybe I'm sitting on a beach somewhere and I'll do like that, and I'll get my iPod and I'll make it play like 3 or 4 of our albums like in a row, and you know, right through every song, and you're always like, you know, there's a story behind everything, you know, like in a band there's always going to be differences, so there's songs that are more popular with different members right through the album, but like that I can think of, very weirdly, I wasn't an enormous fan of Motionless.
Okay.
When we put it on the album, because we always tend to do, you know, like we always used to dress our albums with an epic song at the end, being one of our calling cards, and I felt at that time that we could have taken it elsewhere. I can't remember rightly or whatever, but it's, you know, it really does what it's meant to do. Like it does the epic closer of the album, which is what we wanted to do. And when I listen to it nowadays, I was listening to it like, oh, what was I doing? Like last year, I was trying to edit like another kind of lyric video, like we did with Insects, to do something for Motionless. But obviously my ambition got the better of me, and I started learning motion graphics and animation, and then I took it into 3D, and it's occupying like a few terabytes of my hard drive somewhere, and it's one of those projects that I must finish.
Yeah.
And as you know, if you when you edit video, you tend to repeat, you know, you hear the music again and again and again. So yeah, Motionless is probably the track that really kind of grew on me most.
Cool. I think the only one I'll just say from me was Evil Inside was the one that did that for me. I remember listening to it on the album and skipping it several times, weirdly, but now that's actually one of my favourite songs, and I think it's just because of the chorus. When the chorus kicks in, and everything just lifts on that whole track, whereas it takes a little while to go through. It's kind of that steady pace, and then it's just really launches on that chorus. So it's now the one that I kind of go, you guys, you've got to hear this. You've got to hear it on the chorus. When that kicks in, you've got to listen to that part. But that was the one for me on the album where I initially didn't get it, and then now it's one of my favourites, definitely. So, awesome. Right, well, thank you very much, Paul, for joining me today. I do appreciate you taking time out of your evening. That's it from me. Thank you for joining me, and to everyone back home and watching this on YouTube, thank you to Paul, thank you to me. Take care.